Oh my goodness. Have you ever thought about what it takes, music, harmony, all of those in the same sentence? In business, it's not something that you often hear, but when it comes to the two guests that we have on the show today, they are bringing those in droves. First up, we have Business Spotlight. In the Business Spotlight, Matt Mueller, an innovation consultant who, after a profound experience in Manhattan, has been revolutionizing the way leaders approach business and growth. And on the next level stage, we have an opera singer and an executive coach who intertwines the soothing power with sound with high performance leadership. Get ready to have your mind transformed. All this and more coming up on the Business Breakout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Oh my goodness. Yes, when we look at where innovation and sound meet, very cool things can happen for our personal growth, business and business growth. So before I go any further, if this is your first time here, hey there, I'm Ella Glasgow, your host and the Director of Funability at Beyond Virtual Events, where we help established small businesses create impactful virtual experiences. And this just so happens to be the virtual event that we produce live inside of Zoom on the first and third Wednesday of every month. And this is my personal invitation to you to join us in Zoom for the next one so you can see what's possible for your events. The links will be in the description. And hey, before I go any further, I want you to say hey to our guests today. Hey guys. They are here ready to go, making connections. And speaking of making an impact, one of my favorite places to do that is on LinkedIn. But if you're like me, LinkedIn is a tough nut to crack. Or so I thought. So I decided to reach out to some of my favorite LinkedIn experts who I've learned a ton from and get you some actionable, needle-moving tips on that platform. And the way to connect with them directly is going to be in the description. And now, for today's tip that will help you live your best life on these LinkedIn streets.
Did you know LinkedIn gives you your own personal billboard? That's right. What I'm talking about is that area behind your profile picture, that gray rectangle. And I hope you are not leaving it blank, because those profiles that have one get more play and more reach by the algorithm. Now, I have a simple tip to make sure you have a beautiful one that you can customize to your own liking. First of all, you can go and Google LinkedIn Canva banner template, and up will pop perfectly designed ones that you can color and shape with your own brand, your own logo, anything that you want. But my suggestion to you is make sure it is simple and it is easy to read, because the main thing is 60% of the users on LinkedIn are on mobile. So you want to have one that pops. So go get it today. Change that gray banner to something that fits you, and then you'll make your best first impression on LinkedIn.
Yes, making your best first impression on LinkedIn is super important, and that is an incredible tip. Thank you so much for that. And you will be able to connect with her directly on LinkedIn. I will be putting all of her information into the description so that you can get more of that goodness. And now I want to introduce you to our first guest. He is an incredible person and personality, and I've had the opportunity to meet him today, and I know that you're going to really enjoy hearing from him. He is a thought leader who challenges conventional wisdom in business, and he is an advocate for straightforward innovation and believes in cutting through the noise to drive impactful change. His philosophy? Innovation is not about complexity, but about connecting with our core purpose. With a background that spans various industries and a passion for mindfulness, he offers a fresh lens to leadership and growth. And his approach is not just about doing things differently. No, it is about doing things with intention. And if you know me, you know I love that story. Please welcome to the Business Breakout, Mr. Innovation himself, Matt Mueller. Hey, Matt.
Hey,
How are you
nice to see you,
doing?
Ella.
It's nice to see you as well. It's nice to see you as well. I am so excited to have you here today. I told you just a little bit. I was so excited because of the lineup that we have today. It was so beautifully planned to be able to have the two of you on, but I want to know about you. There, when I was reading your bio, I was very intrigued by, by what it is that you do and how you got there. So, before we get too far into that, can you tell people a little bit about you and who you work with?
Sure. Yeah. So starting from like the beginning, it was all about retail for me. When I was young, I worked in stores. I started off in food service, moved over to the deli, and became a part-time deli associate while I was going to college. And then I graduated college, and I had this really big predicament. Do I go to a job where I take my degree and take a job there where it's like, starting off as cold call sales, minimum wage, but in my profession? Or do I stick with retail because I had management being offered to me and I took it? I took the management role and I had a long career in retail beyond that. I got burnt out by the stores, so I found a way out of that. And I went into the corporate world to support those retail stores. And the goal was to help the burnout from the retail. And it was, how do I innovate within this space to help retail employees love their jobs and serve customers better? And that's really where I started to, begin my innovation career is on that corporate side for retail.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that now, along with that, you're also have expanded into tech industries as well to help them with innovation. And when it comes to
Mhm.
that word innovation, I feel like that word in itself has so many different meanings to different people. Can you help us to understand what that means in the space that you are in, helping leaders to innovate?
Sure. Like when I first started innovation, the position was offered to me and say, "Hey, Matt, we want to start an innovation team. Help us out here. How do we innovate?" And I went home, told my family about this new position, and I was like, "You know what? We're going to do all these amazing things. We're going to create the Disney of our industry. We're going to have robots, lasers, AI, VR, all this like cool tech." And then we started to innovate and create all these new things. And no matter what we did, nothing ever took off. And it wasn't until this one day where we did this test, it failed miserably. I was away in New York City, in Manhattan, and I was just so depressed and disappointed that day. I went back to my hotel and I started walking there down the street in Manhattan. And I was looking at my phone, sending angry text messages to coworkers and everything. And then there was this orange blur in the distance that kept on growing. And it kept on getting closer and closer till eventually I had to put my phone down to look up. And it was a monk standing there right in front of me, right in the middle of Manhattan. 15 people walking down the street, shoulder to shoulder. But he's standing right in front of me to stop me. And he puts his palm out and he has a Guatemala bracelet in his palm. And he hands it to me. So I went back to the hotel to research what was this bracelet about. I knew something was profound in this moment, did not know what it was. And it turns out the symbol on the bracelet was a Sanskrit symbol called Ripka. And Ripka, when translated to English, means unconfused knowledge. And that's when it hit me, Ella. I mean, at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been confusing my knowledge of what innovation is. I thought it was all about this tech and fancy gadgetry, and it wasn't. So I started to research innovation back 4000 BC to understand that there was only three key variables that we need to innovate purposefully. And yes, it started in retail, but you're right. It moved over to tech and it moved over to all these other industries like healthcare and, finance, because it all was the same. Innovation is all about these three key variables.
Well, now you have me intrigued. I need to know what the three key variables are. But you said something really important there because I think that people misunderstand what it takes to make the big changes and strides that they're trying to make in their business, in their industry. And they confuse that into thinking that it means that you have to do all of these complicated things. And even when they see something that appears to be complicated, they forget and fail to understand that it's the simple foundation that's laid
Mhm.
underneath that helps the complicated run. So
Absolutely. It
can
comes
you,
down to purpose at first, right? It all has to be all back down to, like you mentioned earlier, the
yeah.
intent. And does that intent fit our purpose? Does it fit our vision, our strategy? Is it all aligned? Or are you just chasing shiny objects? Like, look at AI. It's so popular right now. Everybody's attacking it. Like, how am I going to apply this to my business? Do you need to? Do you really need to have AI in your business? How is that really something that's going to help you? Maybe it does, but really think about what is your strategy, your purpose within the company, and does AI help you get there faster,
Yeah.
or is it something else that you're doing that's going to put you on a tangent?
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up because that is literally what I'm talking to people about all the time when it comes to putting their events together. I mean, obviously, I love bells and whistles. but, but without that simple foundation, then everything would fall apart. And as I've told people before, it would just be a shitty cake with really cool bells and whistles. So,
Mhm.
so, and we don't want that. And I know that you don't want that for your business. Those of you out there listening, I see Plenty is here with us, and thank you for being here with us live. So before we go any further and before we get too far down the hole, because we only have so much time together, Matt, I know that we want to know, what are those three key pieces that
All
you
right.
were talking about? We're ready.
Okay. All right. So first, before we get into those key pieces, the first thing we have to do is really just breathe and be present in the moment. I think we forget that a lot, is that we try to get ahead of ourselves and think into the future because we're dealing with innovation, but just breathe. And it comes down to these three things. First, what is the real problem that I need to solve? And think about this for a minute, because a lot of times the problems that we're trying to solve aren't real problems. There might be something that we think is a problem. Like at one point in my career, I thought that I needed people to look at my signs, and the problem I was trying to solve was to get people to look at my signs. So I started to create really cool signs to get people's attention. But that didn't really help, because at the end of the day, no one wants to look at my sign. So my real problem was thinking how to think about, what does the consumer, how can a problem a consumer has can be solved by my sign? And that's like a real problem that I could try to find. So that's key variable number one. Then we have, I think, the easiest part: change that improves. You have a problem. Now you're going to create a change that's going to improve that problem. That's kind of like a no duh. But a lot of times we get in our own heads and we fear making those changes or those creative moments, because it's like, no one's going to like this. They're going to hate this idea. But you have to have that change that's going to improve it. And the third variable that is extremely important that a lot of people forget about is acceptance. So you need to get others to accept that this change is going to improve that real problem. And that's when things can really come together. And a lot of times what happens with acceptance is that we forget about, like, thinking of, what is my key stakeholders in my company to think about this? What are the founders going to think about it? What are the consumers, my employees? And we think about all these different angles. We have to create acceptance all around to this change to solve that real problem.
Oh, that acceptance piece. Look, the amount of times that I have watched my husband, who works in another large company, come home and talk about the things that they're trying to implement, and no one has accepted it.
Yeah, it's because they all have better ideas than that, I assure you, because we all think our idea is the best. So we have to come together and figure out how do we collaborate and make everyone feel heard.
Right.
And this way, that's when you can start to get that acceptance.
Yeah, yeah. The getting heard piece often goes missed by leadership, and I have a feeling that that's probably a large piece of
Hmm.
the work that you're doing, helping them to understand how to really hear the people that are working with them. Because I think it can be easy to feel like, well, I'm the big cheese in this wheel, and
Yeah.
everyone should be listening to me because I'm delicious cheese. And that's just not the way that it works.
Yes. Yeah, that's usually the downfall of any new implementation into a company, is that we feel like we have the best idea and we're going to just push it down the hill, and it's gonna work. And a
Yeah.
lot of times middle management's like, nah, this is a bad idea. Who thought of this? I mean, I knew I was on that end when I was in the retail world, and I was like on a deli employee. And I'm like, who in the world thought this was a good idea? And
Yeah.
it makes no sense at all why we're implementing this. And it's because they're not connected, right? So it's getting all those voices heard, and involved in the process of building.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, oh, Matt, this is a deep topic that I wish that we had more time to unpack, and we'll see how the rest of this day unfolds. But before I let you go, I would love to get an actionable step from you for our small business owners watching. What is one thing that they can do right now, today, to start seeing innovation be something that is useful and worthwhile in their business?
Oof, that's a big question. One thing. Uh, well, like I said before, just be present in the moment, right? So if you could take one thing, I want you just to take a breath, find a quiet space, and just meditate for a minute. You might say, I can't meditate. I promise you, you can. A lot of times that people say they can't meditate, they say they have too many thoughts going on in their head. Well, that's okay. As long as you know that you're having those thoughts, that's meditating. Because the only time that you don't have a thought is when you're dead. So we don't want you there yet, right? So meditate, just breathe, and be in the present moment and ask, what is the purpose of this change? Because we're always looking to change our business and put something new in, but just really question, why am I doing this? And is it really worthwhile? And go deep on that.
Yeah, I think that that is the biggest and sometimes the hardest question to sit in silence to wait for, but it will make the most change, the biggest impact on what it is that you're trying to do. Matt, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Don't you go away because we're not done with you yet.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear Stephanie. So I'm excited.
Yes, you just heard him talking about, we have our next guest today is absolutely incredible and a beautiful soul as well, and she is going to be here with us on the next level stage today. She is a blend of artistic talent and leadership acumen. She is an opera singer and an executive coach. Let's take a listen now to the awe-inspiring voice of Stephanie Ball. Oh, oh my goodness gracious. I wish that I could let you hear the entire thing, but you're going to have to go look for her information in the description and you're going to have to look her up. And definitely hear more of her gorgeous voice. But she is absolutely beautiful. And you know, her belief in the power of sound to heal and empower is not just innovative. And it's just so wonderful how Matt was talking about meditation, because we're going to get into that today. But her belief is also transformative. Stephanie combines her artistic gifts with practical coaching techniques to help leaders find their true voice, both literally and figuratively. And in a world where leadership often follows a rigid pattern, Stephanie's approach is a breath of fresh air. Please welcome to the Business Breakout, Miss Stephanie Ball. Hey, Stephanie!
Hey, hi Ella. Nice to be here.
I'm so glad that you could be here with us today. And, you know, I was telling you before the show even started today that I was just like, I am so enjoying hearing your voice and hearing you sing. And I know that you do that professionally. That is like the thing that you do. She is a professional opera singer, y'all. And I want to know, can you take us on a short journey of how you got from being an opera singer to, I know this is a new title for you. You were telling us before the show that, you know, this is something that you're learning to lean into as people are calling you this and the work that you're doing. But moving into being an executive coach, I need to hear that story.
Yeah, it's a pretty good story. So, I grew up in a musical family. It was sort of inevitable that either myself or my sister, one of us was going to go into music. I'm the one who was bit by the bug. And so I went to, got my bachelor's in vocal performance and went on to get a master's degree in vocal performance. And then when I graduated, I found myself in the position that so many other singers do, where we can sing pretty good, but we don't have most of the skills that are actually required to have a professional performance career in the classical industry that is sustainable and feels fun and life-giving. So I ran into so many walls when I finished my master's degree, didn't know how to market, didn't know how to actually properly learn a role or practice or all the really important things. And so I was really discouraged for a long while. And eventually that stress was starting to affect my technique. And then I just wasn't doing well in auditions. And it started to really snowball into a situation that was a huge bummer. So fortunately, I found a teacher who introduced me to the power of personal development. And she said, okay, so yes, we got to do some work on your technique, but mostly you just have to get realigned with your values, your desires. You have to start showing up as the person that you really want to be, learn how to get yourself a little more organized, and it's going to be great. And she was absolutely correct. Once I put those big pieces in place, my career totally changed, and I had a packed calendar, I had a full voice studio, and it was all fantastic. I fell in love with the tools that she taught me, and I decided that I wanted to start sharing them with other people in 2017. So I went back and I got a few more certifications to help people navigate executive functioning in terms of organization, focus, productivity, that kind of thing, and started doing that alongside my singing career. So then, cue the pandemic, 2020, all performances gone. Yeah. And that's when I said, you know what? Everybody needs a little extra love, a little more stress release. So I decided to go back and get the Science of Sound certification so I could incorporate sound as a tool for healing and stress reduction and really just medicine in a more intentional and meaningful way than I had been doing on stage. And that's how the journey began. And it's been really fun to see how it has started to morph and change since then. And the type of people that are really interested in doing this deep level work, it's really been a blast.
Yeah, I love that entire story, and there's so much to unpack in in the background, especially when it comes to us entertainers and the lack of business acumen thereof. That's a whole show in itself.
Right.
But you know, Matt said something earlier with talking about meditation and being able to take the time to breathe. And I know with the work that you do, helping leaders to really be able to find that center and being able to use sound to heal, I would love for you to tell us a bit more about that, and then maybe would you give us a demonstration and help us heal our minds today?
Yes, I would. Yes to all of that. So one of the reasons I love sound as a meditation tool is because we're all already using it unintentionally, right? I mean, if you think about how listening to music can change your mood instantly or bring you into a state of focus, or going outside and taking a walk and listening to sounds of nature can bring you to a state of calm. And not even just listening and receiving sound, but creating your own sound. Humans, we are hardwired to express emotion via sound. And if you think about how good you feel after belting out your favorite song in the car, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's an amazing way to help you process big emotions and get back to a place of feeling centered and calm and joyful. So, you see my big, beautiful crystal sound bowls that I have here today. I would love to give you a little bit of a sample. And I love these because they create just the most gorgeous room filling vibrant sound that it's almost impossible not to just let them wash all the way over you and get you into a nice state of deep relaxation. And this is great with when it's paired with the executive coaching work that I do, because I always say Your prefrontal cortex can't come online until your nervous system is regulated. So when you are in a space of peace and rest, then you can step through that door into a place of feeling clear and focused and energized and really be able to take intentional action on all the things that you want to bring into the world. So, yes, I would love to give you a sample. What I'm going to do, I'm going to switch microphones, which will only take a second. But while I do that, if you're watching and listening, I would just encourage you to get comfortable. If that means staying seated, amazing. If you want to lie down, amazing. All you have to do is just sit back, listen, and breathe this in. So I will play for a few minutes for you, and you can enjoy and take that on into the rest of the week with you.
Oh, I had to remember that I was here to do the show and not just continue to meditate. Stephanie, thank you so much for bringing that beautiful moment to us today. For those of you that are watching live, I hope that you take the time to come back to this particular episode and watch the replay so that you can get all of this juicy goodness and have this moment, this beautiful moment to take those tools that Matt was talking about, to take the moment to breathe and intertwine that with the gorgeous sound healing from Stephanie. And then be able to go into the rest of your day with a new uplifted and grounded feeling. So beautiful and gorgeous that we're able to have this moment with Stephanie today. Thank you so much for that, Stephanie.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. I want to bring Matt back up here today because I am so curious to have a conversation between all three of us before we head out of here. Matt.
I'm still meditating.
Right. That was, oh. And then she sang. Don't mind us, Stephanie. We're just going to sit here and talk about you for just a second. Matt, what did you feel?
Oh my gosh, the vibrations going through my body. Absolutely amazing. Just really beautiful.
It really is incredible. Stephanie, I want to ask you the same question that I asked Matt before we head out. We're just a twinge bit over time today, but I want to give you the opportunity to answer that same question. And that question is, if there was one thing that you would tell your leaders to do that they could take action on right now today to see some forward movement, what's that one thing that you would tell them to do?
Find the time for intentional rest. When you truly rest with intention, then you can operate with excellence. And it's worth carving out the time. I know that there's many things to get done, and I know everyone is busy, but you'll be rewarded tenfold when you pour into yourself with intention.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being with us here today, both you and Matt. It has been such a joy to meet both of you. Thank you so much for bringing your gifts and bringing your A games today. And for those of you, again, that have been watching with us live, thank you for being with us today as well. And for those of you watching in the replay, thank you for being here. You'll be able to find both Matt and Stephanie's information there in the description so that you can connect with them directly. They are amazing people that you definitely want to get more of in your life. This is not the last moment that you have to experience them. But before I go, I want to remind you that at Beyond Virtual Events, we don't just host events. We craft experiences with purpose. And each event is a stepping stone transforming a single moment into a cascade of marketing opportunities for your business. And with us, it's not just about going live, it's about creating a lasting impact that extends far beyond the event itself. So if you are looking to elevate your virtual presence and turn your next event into a powerhouse of ongoing engagement without the tech headache, then we're here to make that happen. And until next time, keep moving forward with intention, and remember that everything that you do can go far beyond. We'll see you next time.